Chosen one. Have you ever asked yourself why life began pressing you before you understood who you were? Why responsibility, pain, and separation showed up before confidence, strength, or clarity ever did? If that question pierced your spirit, listen carefully. This message is not for everyone. If you do not walk the divine path of God, if your heart resists correction, discipline, and calling, you should not watch further. But if you are a true follower of God, if you know deep within that your life was set apart, then stay. Chosen one, I am speaking directly to you. This message is urgent. It will shift how you see your past, your delays, and your assignment. It has reached you at the exact moment heaven intended. Scripture confirms this truth. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you." Ephesians 1:4 declares that God chose us before the foundation of the world. Romans 8:30 reminds us that whom he predestined, he also called. You were selected before readiness was required. If this resonates, comment 777 below as a sign of alignment. Let me know you are receiving this. Subscribe to Divine Calling, tap the bell icon, and share this message with those walking the narrow path. Stay until the end, because what you are about to hear will bring clarity, confirmation, and direction that many never receive. This is your divine confirmation to rise now without fear delay. God's selection is not based on readiness. Listen carefully, chosen one. One of the greatest lies that has kept many of you silent, hesitant, and delayed is the belief that God waits until a person is ready. That belief did not come from heaven. It came from human logic. God does not operate by human timelines, human confidence levels, or human qualifications. He operates by divine purpose. If God waited for readiness, most assignments would never begin. Readiness is a human concept. Calling is a divine one. God does not scan the earth looking for the strongest, the most confident, or the most prepared. He looks for the one he marked. He looks for the vessel he designed for a specific purpose. When God selects, he selects based on destiny, not development. Human logic says, get yourself together first, then step forward. Divine logic says, step forward and I will shape you as you walk. That is why so many chosen ones feel exposed, unsure, and even afraid at the moment of calling. You were never meant to feel ready. Feeling unready is not a sign you missed God. It is often the clearest confirmation that God has spoken. Look at how God moves throughout Scripture. Moses was called while still doubting his speech and identity. David was anointed while still tending sheep, ignored by his own family. Jeremiah himself said he was too young. Gideon saw himself as the least in his household. None of them met the human standard of readiness, yet heaven had already decided. God selects before maturity because maturity grows through obedience. He selects before confidence because confidence is built through reliance on him. He selects before strength because his power is revealed in weakness. This is why God often chooses early, quietly, and unexpectedly. He does not want the glory confused. He does not want the vessel believing the assignment came from personal ability. Many of you struggle because you measure yourself against the weight of the calling instead of the faithfulness of the caller. You say, I'm not ready, but God says, you are chosen. You say, I don't know enough, but God says, I will teach you. You say, I am weak, but God says, my strength will rest on you. Readiness is not the requirement. Obedience is. Understand this clearly. God never calls someone because they are capable. He calls them because he is. When he selects you before you are ready, it forces you to depend on him. It strips pride. It kills self-reliance. It creates intimacy. That discomfort you feel is not punishment. It is positioning. This is where many people misunderstand God. They think delay means disqualification. They think fear means they failed. But often, fear appears because the assignment is real. Pressure increases because the calling is weighty. Resistance shows up because the enemy recognizes what heaven already approved. God's sovereignty means he does not ask permission from your insecurity. He does not consult your past. He does not negotiate with your fears. When God decides, the decision stands. Your readiness does not change his plan. Your obedience activates it. Chosen one. Stop waiting to feel prepared. Stop asking for confidence before movement. Stop disqualifying yourself with thoughts God never spoke. The calling came first. The preparation follows. As you move, He molds. As you obey, He equips. As you trust, He reveals more. God selected you before you were ready because your readiness was never the source. He is. Signs. You were selected early, even when you didn't know. Chosen one, selection leaves marks. God's hand on a life always produces evidence, even when the mind has no language for it yet. Long before you understood calling, destiny, or purpose, the pressure was already there. That was not coincidence. That was confirmation. Many of you felt a strange weight in childhood, a seriousness that did not match your age. While others played freely, you observed deeply. You sensed things you could not explain. You felt emotions in rooms that were never spoken aloud. This was not imagination. It was spiritual sensitivity awakening early. God allowed your spirit to mature before your years because your assignment required depth, not surface living. You likely felt different wherever you went, not superior, not better, just out of place. You tried to blend in, but something always separated you. Conversations felt shallow. Relationships felt temporary. Environments felt draining. That sense of not belonging was not rejection. It was protection. God was teaching you early that you are not meant to attach your identity to the crowd. Isolation often followed. Even when surrounded by people, you felt alone. Even among family, you felt misunderstood. You may have been labeled quiet, intense, strange, or distant. Some of you were misunderstood as rebellious when you were simply discerning. Others were called sensitive when you were spiritually aware. These labels were never accurate. They were human attempts to explain divine difference. Responsibility came early for many of you. You had to grow up fast. You carried emotional burdens that were not yours. You became the strong one, the listener, the fixer, the observer. Childhood ended early because preparation started early. God does not waste seasons. If you were trusted with weight before others, it is because you were built for weight later. Suffering also appeared early. Loss, betrayal, instability, rejection, or silence from people you trusted. This is where many question God. But listen carefully. God does not inflict pain without purpose. He permits pressure to deepen roots. Early suffering refined your discernment, sharpened your compassion, and detached you from illusions that destroy many later in life. Another clear sign is your intuition. You sense shifts before they happen. You feel warnings without evidence. You discern intentions without explanations. This sensitivity sometimes overwhelmed you, made you anxious, or caused you to withdraw. But it was never a flaw. It was training. God was teaching you to listen beyond words, to see beyond appearances. You may have noticed resistance from people close to you. Family doubted you. Friends misunderstood you. Authority figures underestimated or opposed you. Sometimes the strongest resistance comes from familiar places. That resistance was not personal, it was spiritual. Light disrupts comfort. Purpose challenges complacency. Your presence triggered things in others they were not ready to confront. Many chosen ones tried to dim themselves to keep peace. You stayed quiet when you should have spoken. You shrank to avoid conflict. But the call kept pressing. The inner voice never went silent. That persistence is another sign. God's calling does not fade with time. It waits. Let me be clear. These experiences were not punishments. God was not angry with you. Heaven was not testing you for failure. These were markers, evidence, signposts along the path. God was shaping you while hiding the full picture so you would not run from it too early. Divine intentionality covers every tear you shed and every night you questioned your worth. Nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. What felt like confusion was formation. What felt like loss was alignment. What felt like rejection was redirection. Chosen one, if these words stir your spirit, it is because they describe you. You were selected early, marked quietly, prepared invisibly. And now, awareness is catching up to what heaven decided long ago. Why God hid you while he called you. Chosen one of the most confusing seasons you have ever walked through is the season where you knew God had called you, yet nothing around you reflected it. Silence, isolation, obscurity. You felt forgotten, overlooked, even delayed. But hear this with clarity and peace. God hides what he intends to protect. God always separates before he elevates. Separation is not rejection, it is preparation. Before God reveals a vessel publicly, he forms it privately. Elevation without formation destroys character. Exposure without depth creates pride. God is too wise to place you on display before you are rooted. The hidden season is not inactivity. It is training. While it looked like nothing was happening, everything was happening. God was working beneath the surface, strengthening your discernment, refining your motives, and teaching you how to hear his voice without noise. He was stripping away the need for applause, approval, and validation. He was teaching you to move by obedience, not affirmation. Isolation was necessary because certain voices would have distorted your calling. Some people would have spoken doubt before you developed confidence in God. Others would have praised you too early and inflated ego before humility was formed. God removed you not to punish you, but to preserve you. When he hides you, it is because your spirit is valuable. Pruning also happens in hidden seasons. God removes habits, relationships, mindsets, and desires that cannot follow you into the next level. This pruning hurts because it feels like loss. But pruning is proof of growth. God cuts away what drains you so that what remains can bear fruit. Character is shaped when no one is watching. Many of you wondered why doors did not open sooner, why opportunities fell through, why recognition never came when you expected it. Premature exposure would have crushed you. The weight of the assignment would have overwhelmed you without the spiritual strength you now carry. God delayed visibility to build stability. Scripture shows this pattern clearly. Moses spent years in the wilderness before leading a nation. David lived in caves after being anointed king. Joseph was hidden in prison before ruling Egypt. Even Jesus lived in obscurity for decades before beginning his ministry. God does not rush what carries eternal weight. Silence was part of the process. God was teaching you to trust his presence without constant reassurance. When heaven feels quiet, faith matures. You learned how to stand when emotions wavered. You learned how to obey without clarity. You learned how to endure without explanation. These lessons cannot be taught publicly. Obscurity protected you from comparison. While others were celebrated, you were cultivated. While others were visible, you were being built. God was fortifying your inner life so that success would not corrupt you and criticism would not break you. The hidden season was not a delay, it was a defense. Nothing you endured was wasted. Every lonely night sharpened your discernment. Every unanswered prayer deepened your trust. Every closed door redirected you toward alignment. God counts every tear. He remembers every sacrifice. He wastes nothing. Chosen one, understand this truth. If God hid you, it is because what he placed in you is precious. If he kept you unseen, it is because exposure would have endangered you. The hiding season is ending, but its lessons must remain. Walk forward without bitterness. Do not rush visibility. Do not resent obscurity. Carry the wisdom of the hidden place into the next season. God is not behind schedule. He never was. He was protecting what he called. The burden of being chosen before you were ready. Chosen one. Being selected early carries a weight few talk about and even fewer understand. The calling does not arrive gently. It presses on the soul. It stretches the mind. It awakens questions you never asked for. You carry a sense of responsibility without a manual, a vision without full clarity, and a burden that cannot be shared with just anyone. That weight you feel is real, and it is not weakness. Many of you have battled exhaustion that sleep cannot fix. Emotional fatigue that comes from carrying purpose before having language for it. You fight inward wars while outwardly appearing calm. You question yourself, then question your questioning. This internal tension is the cost of awareness arriving before readiness. Your spirit recognized the assignment long before your life aligned with it. Loneliness often follows the chosen one, even in crowded rooms. You can be surrounded by voices, yet feel unseen. Conversations feel shallow when your soul is wrestling with eternal matters. You love people, but you cannot fully relate. This isolation is not arrogance. It is separation of frequency. You are tuned to a different depth, and not everyone can meet you there. Misunderstanding adds to the burden. You have been labeled incorrectly because people interpret you through their limitations. Some called you distant when you were discerning. Others called you intense when you were focused. You may have been accused of pride when you were simply protecting your spirit. These labels hurt because you desired connection, not conflict. But clarity often comes later than criticism. Spiritual warfare intensifies when purpose is real. Resistance did not come because you were weak. It came because you were marked. Delays appeared not to deny you, but to strengthen you. Obstacles rose to build endurance. When heaven assigns greatness, opposition takes notice. The struggle itself confirms the assignment. Many of you questioned God in private. You asked why the road was so heavy, why progress felt slow, why clarity came in pieces. These questions did not offend God. He understands the weight he placed on you. He also knows why he placed it early. Pressure reveals capacity. Fire exposes purity. The burden was shaping you. If you feel this weight deeply, comment 444 below as a sign that you understand this burden and are still standing. Understand this truth now. The burden is not a curse. It is proof of assignment. Ordinary lives are not pressed this way. Casual callings do not require this level of refinement. The weight you carry matches the impact you will release. God never loads a vessel beyond its design. Perseverance is not passive. It is active trust. Every day you choose not to quit, not to harden your heart, not to abandon your faith. You grow stronger. Even when progress feels invisible, endurance is building spiritual authority. You are learning how to carry weight without breaking. God's wisdom is higher than your understanding. He sees the full picture while you walk one step at a time. The burden feels heavy because transformation is happening. What once crushed you now strengthens you. What once confused you now clarifies you. Chosen one, do not lay down your calling because of its weight. You were built to carry it. The burden will not break you. It is shaping you into someone who can stand when others fall. Keep walking. Heaven is watching. What God is doing in you right now. Chosen one, pay close attention to this moment, because something is changing within you. The confusion that once clouded your thoughts is lifting. The heaviness that followed you for years is loosening its grip. This is not imagination. This is alignment. God is bringing your spirit, your mind, and your purpose into agreement. Right now, God is awakening what was dormant. You are becoming more aware of who you are and what you carry. Old fears no longer hold the same power. Old patterns no longer satisfy you. What once distracted you now feels empty. This is refinement. God is clearing your inner space so His direction can land without resistance. Things are shifting now because the season has changed. You endured the hidden years. You survived the pruning. You carried the burden without quitting. Heaven does not forget obedience. God moves when the vessel is ready to handle what comes next. Readiness does not mean perfection. It means surrender. Obedience is unlocking clarity in ways knowledge never could. As you say yes in small things, God reveals larger things. As you move without full understanding, understanding follows. Many of you waited for certainty before action, but God is teaching you that movement invites revelation. Light appears step by step, not all at once. God is shaping your voice right now. You are learning when to speak and when to stay silent. Words carry weight now. Conversations feel purposeful. Discernment has sharpened. You sense when something is aligned and when it is not. This is not emotional reaction. This is spiritual maturity. Your vision is also being refined. You no longer chase everything. You no longer feel pulled in every direction. Distractions are losing their grip because your focus is narrowing. God does not give clarity to scatter it. He gives it to aim it. The narrowing is intentional. Confusion is lifting because your spirit is learning to trust God's timing instead of fighting it. You are no longer rushing the process. You are no longer comparing your path to others. You are beginning to understand that delay was not denial. It was alignment. You may notice a deeper hunger for truth, solitude, and prayer. Noise feels uncomfortable now. Superficiality feels draining. This is God recalibrating your appetite. He is teaching you to feed on what sustains you, not what entertains you. Divine timing is unfolding perfectly. What felt late was never late. What felt stalled was never stagnant. God allowed time to mature you so that what comes next does not overwhelm you. Timing protects the promise. Chosen one, you are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. God is not preparing the opportunity. He is preparing you. And when preparation meets obedience, activation follows naturally. Remain attentive. Remain obedient. Do not rush ahead or lag behind. Walk with God at His pace. What is unfolding now will make sense later. Trust this moment. Heaven is moving with precision, and you are part of it. Conclusion. Step into what was decided before you. Chosen one, hear this with clarity and peace. Your selection was not accidental. It was intentional, deliberate, and decided long before you understood its weight. God did not choose you out of impulse or emotion. He chose you because you were designed for what others could not carry. Nothing about your life has been random. Fear has spoken loudly at times, but fear was never your authority. Trust is. Trust in the God who saw your beginning and already secured your end. You do not need to see the full path to take the next step. You only need to obey. God does not reveal everything at once because faith grows in movement, not in certainty. Understand this deeply. God does not make mistakes. He does not misplace callings. He does not assign purpose carelessly. If He selected you before you were ready, it is because readiness was never the requirement. Availability was, obedience was, surrender was. You are not walking alone. Even in seasons where God felt silent, His presence never left you. Every delay was guided. Every closed door was protective. Every tear was counted. Divine companionship has surrounded you more closely than you realize. Now is not the time to shrink back. Now is the time to walk forward with quiet confidence. You do not need to announce your calling. Live it. You do not need validation from people. Heaven has already approved you. Walk boldly, not in pride, but in obedience. Move steadily, not in haste, but in faith. Speak when led. Wait when instructed. Trust the timing you once questioned. Chosen one, you were selected before you were ready so that you would always rely on God, not yourself. Step into what was decided before you. Your life carries purpose, your path carries weight, and your obedience will echo far beyond you. You are chosen, and heaven is with you.